So, as I'm sure you're aware, Gears of War 4 released properly the other day. And I was really on the fence about picking it up, because I'd seen the microtransaction system and I'd seen all the bits and bobs they wanted to add. But my deciding factor was actually playing it. I played it at EGX, I played some of the Horde and a little bit of the campaign. I didn't really enjoy the multiplayer beta that much, but then again I've never really enjoyed Gears multiplayer anyway. So I took the plunge and picked it up. Admittedly, I got a discount because a friend of mine bought I think it was a GTX 1070 and it came with it, and he didn't want it, so he gave it to me, which meant I still got the Play Anywhere, so I could still play on the Xbox One if I want to, which is fantastic. I think all in all I paid around £28 or something, which to me made it seem a lot more worth it than the 60 odd pound they're trying to charge for full price. And it means that a copy of the game doesn't go to waste, so I'm happy enough with that one. But enough about buying the game, let's get on to the game. And I'm sure the big thing for those of you that haven't played it or haven't picked it up yet would be the microtransaction system. A lot of people saw the microtransaction system, including myself. I made a video on it as far as I'm aware. And assumed it was a lot like Halo 5's. And I'm pretty happy to say that that's not the case. The microtransaction system in Gears of War is pretty much limited to challenges, which can net you bonus XP, similar to how the challenges in Reach worked, except you get them on little cards, and customization items, as well as a few boosts and things for Horde mode. But for the most part, all of the customization options, bar some of the crazy high tier stuff, can be crafted through just grinding and, I don't want to use the term disenchanting, but I don't know what the actual term in Gears is, but like in Hearthstone where you disenchant cards to get dust, and you can make new cards from that dust. It's a very similar system. And I'm very happy to say that the microtransaction system in Gears 4 is non-egregious. It doesn't ask you to buy rec packs, it doesn't force you to buy rec packs to play the game or have a decent chance. There's none of that. It's taken a more Counter-Strike approach where it's just cosmetics, and then they've added a few extras to that with the challenges and some other things that can help you unlock credits or more XP and things like that. But nothing is hidden from the player, nothing is locked behind a paywall. There is no gameplay difference to somebody that has not touched the card system and those who have touched the card system, outside of those optional challenges. And they're things like, win 5 games as Cape, or win, 5 games as a Scout in Horde mode, and things like that. It's fantastic. The microtransaction system there is what I hope ends up in Halo 6. They're non-egregious, they don't affect the gameplay, and they're just a hell of a lot better than Halo's microtransaction system. 343, please take note. If this was Microsoft's doing, you are stepping in the right direction as far as microtransactions go, and I applaud that. Now, onto the campaign. I'm not going to give any spoilers and give any details about the campaign. I'm more going to give a technical overview of how it actually runs. Now, my performance will vary, because my GTX 780 Ti, the poor thing, is a good 4 or 5 years old now, and it's very much showing its age. It's having some issues when it hits about 2.5 gigs of VRAM, 970 gate much. It's just dying. I get blue screens every now and again, so I had to run the game on medium. Now, the frame rate is fine on anything up to almost ultra at 60 FPS. But anything above medium and the game will hang every now and again, because it will try and fill the frame buffer past what the broken VRAM on the card will allow. So as soon as it gets to about 2.5, 2.7 gigs of VRAM being used, the card just basically has a seizure, because I assume some of the RAM chips have either failed or started to fail or something like that. But other than that, it works fine, and that's just my hardware. But I've had reports from other people like Late Night and things who say the game runs fantastic on PC. They've had 144 FPS, smooth, no worries, no stutters. And I've heard a couple of other people who have said that it runs like ass. Now, it runs pretty well for me at medium, like I said. I could run it higher, but I've just explained the issue. So, all in all, I feel that the performance of the PC port is pretty good. The Xbox One version, however, I'm a little disappointed with. Again, for those of you who don't know, the game runs at 2 different frame rates on the Xbox One. 30 FPS and 60 FPS. The 30 FPS is for the campaign and horde mode, where 60 FPS is for the multiplayer. Of course, you know, multiplayer games should strive for 60 FPS just because it's smoother, reduces input latency. It's just an overall better experience, as I've explained before. But having played it on the Xbox One S at EGX, I've got to say that the 30 FPS Horde was really, really horrible to play. It felt jerky, it felt laggy. I don't want to say I could see the frames because obviously there's still persistence of vision at that point, but you can tell that it's not running stably at 30 FPS. Now that might be different for the retail version. I've not played the retail version on my Xbox One because it's 80 gigs and I'm not going to download it to my Xbox One unless I have to. But I still don't think that 30 FPS in modern AAA titles is an acceptable frame rate. But that's just my 2 cents. Now onto Horde mode. Horde mode, which you can see in the background, is fantastic. It's got a few tweaks from Gears of War 3, it's made it a bit more interesting. You can place barricades and things wherever you'd like now. You don't have to hold out a certain area if you don't want to, you can place barricades absolutely everywhere. You can literally make the game a tower defense if you had enough energy. If you had enough power to buy, you know, tons and tons of sentries, you could literally build Gears of War the tower defense, which could be hilarious. If somebody finds a way of modding it on PC so that you can have infinite power, please let me know, because that would be hilarious to record. If you just had a map full of like MG sentries and just watching things like navigate a sort of path to get to where you are, that would be absolutely hilarious. I don't think we'll see mod support anytime soon, which is a shame because the last Gears on PC, Gears of War 1, did have engine support and mod support, which was absolutely awesome. From a gameplay standpoint, in my opinion, the changes to Horde mode are extremely welcome. I am loving the new fabricator system, I'm loving the ability to place things anywhere you like. Hell, Horde has been actually quite fun. I didn't really enjoy it that much in Gears 3, at least playing solo, but now with Gears 4 I find myself, when I've got some spare time, just jumping into a matchmaking game of Horde and killing some Locust, or some Swarm, or, you know, whatever you want to call them. I'm not trying to spoil things here. And it's just a lot more interesting and engaging than it was now. There's a class system, each class has its own perks. They're not like predominantly gameplay changing. Every class can use every weapon, you know, every class can do the same thing, but some classes are better at things than others. Like the Scout gets double power drops, so when they pick up power and put it in the Fabricator they get double, rather than say a soldier who may spawn with a better weapon and, I don't know, do more damage to enemies will only get, you know, the standard drop. It's things like that that vary the gameplay and can add a lot of tactics and things to what was once just hide behind some cover and shoot the crap out of everything until it dies mode. Which I think is a welcome change, because it means that now when I'm playing with friends, we can have a proper hardcore, I'm going to use the term sweaty, we can have a proper try-hard game of Horde mode, and it's incredibly fun. Now onto the multiplayer. Again, I haven't played the multiplayer in Gears 4 yet because it's not really something that interests me. I've always been a campaign and a Horde mode kind of guy. I will give it a go at some point and probably give you guys some feedback as to what I think of the multiplayer, but for now, as far as I'm aware, it is the same old Gears multiplayer. So if you've played Gears 3 multiplayer, Gears 2 multiplayer, then you'll enjoy it. If you enjoyed that sort of thing, you'll enjoy this. Obviously it's all on dedicated servers, there's no host advantage, there's none of that anymore. It runs at 60 FPS even on the Xbox One, so it's a decent experience as far as gameplay goes. But to me, it's just not the most interesting thing in the world. If I want to play a multiplayer game, I'll go play Halo. And if I don't really feel like playing Halo, I'll go play Counter-Strike. For me, multiplayer means first-person shooters or real-time strategy games. That's just how I feel. I'm not really a fan of the whole third-person shooter multiplayer thing. I find the aiming mechanics to be a bit naff, but that's just me. Now, I'm going to finish this video off with controls. Now, again, I've only played this on the PC, the full release version on the PC, I should say, and it feels to me like the controls are just emulated gamepad controls. Now, I'm sure a lot of people will say differently, but to me, it feels like when I'm moving the mouse, it's just translating that to a joystick movement in-game. Now, I've not had a chance to test this or build a prototype to test this or anything like that, though I may do in the future if I have time, but I know in UE that you can simulate gamepad with the keyboard and mouse. I know this is doable, I've done it before, and it feels very similar to this. I haven't built an exact use case scenario, I've built things for like mobile games and whatnot, but that's what it feels like to me. And if that is the case, then I would like to see them change it. I also haven't found a raw input setting for the mouse, which is a bit funky. So, what are your thoughts on Gears of War 4? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Let me know in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like or maybe even subscribe. And remember, stay classy.